how do you think about your involvement pre-close? When do you get involved? What types of relationships are you seeking out? How do you kind of lay the groundwork pre-close um, for a successful and fruitful relationship post-close?
Sure. So permanent equity, as I said earlier, is very weird. And so sellers who are interested in us as a potential partner tend to be looking for something a little bit different than they would from another, from a strategic or from a traditional private equity firm. So for a lot of these founders, the relationship with who they're going to be working with is very important. So in a lot of cases, we're dealing with founders or owners who want to roll a meaningful portion of their equity, and those are the types of situations that we prefer. We like to partner with folks who still want skin in the game, and for those folks, knowing who it is that they're going to be working with, especially once they're told how involved we like to be on a daily or weekly basis, and this is not some quarterly check-in, they want to know who that person is as soon as possible. So depending on logistics and how, at what point in the conversations we are, I'll sometimes be involved on the first management call, especially if it's an industry that I'm familiar with, or a situation that I've been familiar with. So I can be involved as early as the first management call. Other times I'm getting involved. If it's later, then I'm probably at least on the first site visit, if not the second. And we'll probably get to this later also, but I also like to start the process of doing our weekly check-in calls before we're closed. So once we're clear of what we consider to be the major hurdles of diligence, we like to go ahead and set up those weekly chats with founders, owners, operators, so that we can establish that cadence, and so that when the ink is dry on the operating agreement, they can detect no change from the day before we were signed to the day after we were signed. We want that to be a non-event for the folks operating the business. So I also, just for what it's worth, sorry, another thing that makes us weird, we do the vast majority of our diligence in-house. So we don't outsource any parts of our diligence except for things that are more technical, beyond our internal expertise. So my job as the operating partner is to make sure that there's nothing in diligence that would worry me from an operating partner perspective. So I'm looking at organizational structure, compensation scheme, all these sorts of things that I'm going to be very involved in talking to the current management team about post-close. So I'm actually pretty involved in the entire pre-close process, sometimes starting with the very first management call, working through diligence, and then also establishing that weekly or biweekly cadence with our operators before we even get to close.
Yep. Have you seen, obviously that's a very different structure, right? Almost thinking about integrating yourself into the operational workflow, not to replace anyone, but just to be familiar with the cadence. Have you seen any pushback to that being integrated sooner? I mean, you're asking for another meeting, right? One meeting a week or whatever it is, or 2 meetings a week. Have you had any pushback on that? Or has it blown up in any way?
Right. I think the difference with us is, again, because we're a little bit of an oddball, the folks who want to partner with us, or who are looking to partner with us, actually want to partner with us. So we're not doing hostile takeovers. There can be some, sometimes some turbulence when the selling party is separate from the party who's actually operating the business. So that can be a little bit different. But again, a lot of that is smoothed over by, we just published a piece on how do no harm is kind of a major operating focus for us post close. And so we try to come in as partners and not as know-it-alls. So I don't have a 30-day playbook. I don't have a 90-day playbook. My 90-day playbook looks like coming in and listening as much as possible to the people who are actually operating the business. And in all of these industries that we're entering, because we don't have an industry focus, I'm never going to be as smart as the people operating the business about their industry or about their product or service, about their customers, about their suppliers, about the associations they belong to. And I don't aspire to be like, that's not how I'm going to add value as an operating partner. I'm going to come in, and typically the operators of the businesses, those are the things that they really love to latch onto. They're in that business because they are fascinated by the industry. They love their customers. They're evangelists for their product or service. And it's a great symbiotic relationship because I'm happy to let them focus on those things, and I'm going to go focus on the things that they, and a lot of times say, oh, thank goodness somebody's going to deal with that stuff because I'm so disinterested in that. It takes away time from the things that I love. So really, earnestly presenting ourselves as a partner who wants to fill in the gaps that they're not interested in working on can really smooth those conversations. So yeah, I'm interested in what's going on the product side, on the service side, what's going on with their customers, what's going on in the industry. I want to be a sponge on those things. And at the same time, I want to be a great right hand for them and a new resource for them to leverage on those subject matters that they're less interested in.